There was $40.1 million sitting on the table at LIV Golf Indianapolis. There were also players in that field who had not yet been paid for the tournament they played 2 weeks earlier. Bryson DeChambeau knew both of those things when he arrived at the range on Tuesday, and one of them explains exactly what he said next. The date was Tuesday, August 18, 2026. The location was the club at Chatham Hills in Westfield, Indiana, the course hosting the final LIV Golf tournament of the season, with the opening round scheduled for Thursday. Bryson DeChambeau, age 32 and captain of the team known as Crushers Golf Club, walked out to the driving range for a practice session. 3 reporters were standing near the range. One of them was Sean Zach, a senior writer for Golf.com. According to Zach's account of the exchange, Bryson DeChambeau spotted the group and addressed them directly. His words were, "Ooh, the mafia has arrived." The mafia. Zach reported that the remark was delivered mostly in jest. He also reported that the frustration underneath it was not a joke. Zach wrote that Bryson DeChambeau remains annoyed with how he has been quoted and how his comments have been placed in context over the course of the summer. Zach's assessment of the moment was direct. There's clearly more beneath the surface there. That was Tuesday. The second incident came the following day. On Wednesday, August 19, 2026, a golf writer named Ryan French was standing at the same practice range. Ryan French runs an account called Monday Q Info, which posts under the username @acasesofthegolf1 on the platform X, and he has also appeared on the Golf Channel program Big Break. His work covers qualifying tournaments and the players trying to reach the professional level, which is a section of the sport that receives very little camera coverage. Ryan French was filming Bryson DeChambeau's golf swing. The incident was first reported by Brandon Reef, who described what he saw at the range. According to Brandon Reef, Bryson DeChambeau and his team were working on his swing, and Bryson DeChambeau appeared visibly upset with something in that swing. Brandon Reef wrote that Ryan French was filming and doing nothing outside the norm besides watching the swing, at which point a member of Bryson DeChambeau's team came over and removed him from the driving range session. Brandon Reef opened his post with the phrase "bizarre scene out of the driving range for LIV Indianapolis." Ryan French responded publicly the same day. His post read, "Got booted off the range by Bryson today." He added that the incident ranked number 1,892 on the list of things that had happened to his life. Several hours later, Ryan French posted again with a different piece of information. Bryson DeChambeau had telephoned him. The two men spoke for approximately 20 minutes. Ryan French wrote that the conversation would remain off the record and then added a single line of credit. A lot of players wouldn't have done that. So the same man who had a reporter removed from his practice session made a private call to that reporter within hours. To understand why the pressure existed in the first place, it is worth looking at both the history and the finances. The history is documented. In 2020, Bryson DeChambeau confronted a cameraman over how he was being filmed. He conducted a lengthy public feud with Brooks Koepka, which the two men later resolved before both joined LIV Golf. At the 2024 United States Open, his agent was involved in a confrontation with Damon Hack. Across 2026, he maintained a pattern of declining interviews with the media at major championships, a pattern that continued through the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale. The record also contains the opposite evidence. Bryson DeChambeau built one of the largest golf channels on the video platform YouTube, a channel constructed almost entirely from filmed footage of himself hitting golf balls. He has been described across years of coverage as personable and cooperative in a wide range of media settings. Both descriptions are supported by the record. The finances explain the timing. On April 30th, 2026, the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund announced that it would no longer finance LIV Golf. The fund had reportedly spent more than $5 billion on the league across 5 seasons. Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the chairman of the fund, stepped down from the board of directors of the league. LIV Golf responded by appointing 2 independent board members with backgrounds in corporate restructuring. Their names are Eugene Davis and Jonathan Zinman. Eugene Davis is the chief executive of a consulting firm that specializes in turnaround management, and its past and current clients have included Spirit Airlines and Weight Watchers. On July 8, 2026, LIV Golf filed a worker adjustment and retraining notification in the state of New York. That filing is the legal step a company is required to take before it can carry out potential layoffs. There was also litigation. A company called Moby, which produced the broadcast feature that LIV Golf marketed as Any Shot, Anytime, sued the league in the United States District Court in Miami for $1. $13 million in outstanding unpaid invoices and breach of contract. The lawsuit alleges that LIV Golf paid all of its bills in 2025 and then stopped making payments in 2026. The schedule contracted as well. In June 2026, the event scheduled for New Orleans was postponed and then did not take place. That reduced the calendar to 12 tournaments. The smallest schedule the league has run since it launched in 2022 with 8 events. Then came the larger cancellation. The team championship was scheduled for August 27 to August 30 at a course called The Cardinal at St. John's in Plymouth, Michigan, carrying a purse of $30 million. It was designed as the centerpiece of the entire team-based model the league was built around. The evidence that it was not going to happen accumulated in public. Reporters who visited the venue in the weeks beforehand found no grandstands and no hospitality construction, the structures that dominate every professional golf tournament. Fox Sports, the United States broadcast partner of LIV Golf, removed the event from its television listings. LIV Golf only stopped selling tickets days after that. 3 players in the league, Tyrrell Hatton, Tom McKibben, and Adrian Meronk, placed themselves on the entry list for the British Masters on the DP World Tour, an event held in the same week. Officials at the league had repeatedly denied reports that the championship was gone and kept the event on the published schedule. On August 17, 2026, LIV Golf confirmed the cancellation. The tournament outside Indianapolis became the final event of the season. Scott O'Neill, the chief executive of LIV Golf, explained the decision in a written statement saying the league had concluded the season now so that we can put our full resources behind what comes next. The league also canceled the post-round concerts scheduled for the week, which were to feature the country singer Thomas Rhett and the artist performing as disco lines, citing unavoidable changes in the entertainment program. That is the backdrop to the money on offer in Indianapolis. The individual purse for the week was reduced to $10.1 million, with the winner receiving $2.02 million. That figure is half of the $4 million first prize traditionally paid at the $20 million individual events the league has staged. However, a total of $40.1 million in prize money and bonuses remained available across the week, including $10 million for the season-long individual championship and $30 million for the team championship, which was now to be decided in Indiana rather than Michigan. Jon Rahm had already secured the individual title for a 3rd consecutive season, which meant Bryson DeChambeau could not overtake him. Bryson DeChambeau could still finish second in the standings, and he could attempt to lead Crushers Golf Club to another team championship, a title the team previously won in 2023. Against those numbers sat a separate fact. Several players confirmed publicly that they had still not been paid from the previous tournament held at Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Reports also circulated that players had discussed boycotting the season finale over unpaid tournament winnings. The question of who pays for any of it was being settled at the same time. On August 5, 2026, at Bedminster, Scott O'Neill announced that LIV Golf had an agreement in place with a lead investor signed by the investor and approved by the board of the league. He said the aim was to finalize terms in the following weeks and close the transaction in September. He described the backer as an investor of weight. He did not name the investor and did not disclose the amount of money involved. The reported target figure was between $250 million and $300 million. 2 publications reported details the league did not confirm. The Financial Times identified the prospective backer as the credit division of BC Partners and described the arrangement as a non-binding term sheet. Bloomberg reported that the credit arm of BC Partners was leading a group considering a loan to LIV Golf, and that negotiations had not been finalized and could still change. Then, on Wednesday, August 19, 2026, the same day Ryan French was removed from the practice range, Scott O'Neill spoke to reporters again. He acknowledged that LIV Golf was working against a very compressed timeline to finalize the deal with the new lead investor, and that any such agreement would require buy-in from a majority of the current player roster. Reuters reported that with the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund withdrawing its support after the end of the current season, the league faces an uncertain future that could involve filing for bankruptcy, while vendors and players have said they are still awaiting certain paychecks. The proposed shape of the league for 2027 was already public. It would run 10 tournaments comprising 5 team majors at international sites including Australia, South Africa, England, Hong Kong, and Mexico, plus 5 signature events in the United States. Regular event purses would fall from $30 million to approximately $10 million. Players would become the majority equity holders in the league, which Scott O'Neill described as a first for a major global sports league. The scale of the losses being restructured is visible in public filings. LIV Golf Limited, which handles the operations of the league outside the United States, reported a loss of $461.8 million on revenue of $64.9 million during 2024, according to accounts filed with the company's house register in the United Kingdom. Its cumulative losses exceeded $1.1 billion through the end of that year. All of this arrives at one player in particular. The contract held by Bryson DeChambeau expires at the end of the 2026 season. He is widely described as the most commercially valuable player in the league, and he is also among those with the least contractual obligation to remain in it. Rather than stepping back, he moved toward the center of the negotiations. He led a players-only meeting at Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster in early August, and he was among the golfers at a further meeting on Tuesday, August 18, reported by Paolo Uggetti of ESPN. That meeting took place on the same day as the remark about the mafia. Reuters reported that BC Partners holds a stake in GIS, the agency that represents Bryson DeChambeau, and described him as the player who appears to be all in on keeping LIV Golf alive. Scott O'Neill declined to answer directly when asked about the contract situation, stating that he would leave all individual player questions to individual players. He was less restrained about the player himself, saying, "I have a lot of time for Bryson." He described Bryson DeChambeau as mission-driven, said that he cares about the global game of golf, and finished with a clear statement of intent, "I certainly hope he's with us for the future." The alternatives available to Bryson DeChambeau have been narrowing at the same time. Brian Rowlap, the chief executive of the PGA Tour, shut down speculation about a merger between the circuits in an interview with Bloomberg, saying there's no merger, no conversations. He has also stated that the two tours have not discussed the arrangement Bryson DeChambeau proposed, in which he would compete on the PGA Tour while remaining a LIV Golf player. Earlier in 2026, Bryson DeChambeau was offered a route back through the returning members program, the pathway accepted by Brooks Koepka. He declined it. Jon Rahm and Cameron Smith also declined it. Other routes closed as well. The Asian Tour announced a partnership with the PG. A tour in the DP World Tour, removing a relationship LIV Golf had used to provide playing opportunities and to meet requirements for official World Golf ranking points. The DP World Tour has notified players to expect financial penalties if they attempt to compete on both circuits in 2027, citing its conflicting events rule. Bryson DeChambeau has stated his ambition for the league plainly, telling the New York Post that "my ultimate goal is to have golf course stadiums, with each team operating its own course as a home venue." He has also described a fallback position in which he would focus on his channel on the video platform YouTube and compete in the 4 major championships. On the subject of returning to the PG, a tour through a developmental circuit, he told Garrett Johnston of Beyond the Clubhouse, "I think that there is other options for me." Set the week's facts side by side. $40.1 million was available at a single tournament. Players in that same field were waiting on money from the previous one. A $30 million championship had been canceled 11 days before it was due to begin, along with the concerts booked around it. A funding agreement remained unsigned and unnamed on a compressed timeline, requiring a majority of the roster to agree to it. and the contract belonging to Bryson DeChambeau had days remaining on it. That was the situation on the driving range at the club at Chatham Hills. A golfer who built a second career by putting cameras on his own golf swing had a camera removed from his practice session and then called the man holding it 20 minutes later.